See you. I had no intention whatsoever of running for Congress. That's the honest truth. And when and where this all started was months ago. I was sitting on my back patio at my home, and I saw a tweet on my phone that said Florida congressman wears IDF uniform to Congress, and I remember I was by myself. I spoke out loud to myself. I said, "What idiot did that?" And I opened it up, and I go, "That's my idiot. That's my congressman, Brian Mass." It's like I sat there, like this can't be real. My congressman from District 21 wears an Israeli uniform. Well, Stu, I really didn't know much about Brian Mass. Um, he was my congressman, presented a conservative Republican, a wounded Afghanistan war veteran. Thought, okay, I'll vote for the guy. I didn't do any research. I just voted for him. After I saw that article and the photograph of him in an IDF uniform, I started drilling down deeper into Brian Mass, and I realized, no, this guy really he goes to Israel to participate in IDF military activities. This guy is a true blue, Star of David blue wannabe IDF soldier, and I was shocked. And then I found out that he's for gun control. He wants a federal ban on semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. Well, that puts him on the same page as Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Adam Schiff. They all want a federal ban. And now I'm thinking, is this guy a rhino? Was he planted in this district? And we're told this is a conservative, patriotic man, elect him to Congress. And then as the war in Gaza worsened, Brian Mass really showed his true colors. And he said that there was no such thing as innocent Palestinian children. And he also said there are a lot more buildings that need to come down. And he knew what he was talking about. Residential apartment buildings that had children living in them. And he was quite comfortable with Israel bombing those buildings. What kind of person says there's no such thing as an innocent child? I don't know who thinks like that. He's not the person I thought we elected. And I'll be honest with you, Stu, as I started talking to people in my community, that's the statement I heard over and over. Yeah, Rick, he's not the person I thought I voted for. So there's a lot of discontent in the district with Brian Mass, and I'm going to defeat him.
This guy goes to Israel and participates in IDF activities. Yes. For the viewing audience who doesn't understand what IDF activities include, why don't you educate them?
Well, we're talking about the Israeli Defense Force. He's really a IDF wannabe, IDF junior. They're not going to take him out on the battlefield. They're letting him dress up and play soldier, and he goes over to Israel and packs up supplies in warehouses, and he does his thing to support the IDF that's out there killing Palestinian children, and he's very proud of the fact that he goes to Israel and donates his time to backing the IDF in this war, and I just find it so shocking. I can't comprehend that any congressman would wear a foreign military uniform on any day, let alone to Congress, on any day.
Look, I can't believe that it's allowed. I can't believe that he was allowed in the people's house wearing the uniform of a foreign military.
Well, Stu, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll tell you my first campaign promise. Well, my first campaign promise is I will never wear a foreign army uniform. That's my first promise. Second promise is I will introduce a bill, and I will name it the Brian Mass Foreign Army Uniform Anti-Treason Act to make it a felony for any member of Congress, House or Senate, and their staff members to wear a foreign military uniform. A felony, put them in prison. It's treason.
Let's talk about the rest of your platform.
Well, I mean, we're getting off to a good start right there. We're going to deal with the traitors.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with the traitors. We're going to call them out because that's treason. Stu, if Brian Mast can wear an Israeli military uniform, why can't another member wear a Russian uniform or a Chinese uniform or a North Korean uniform or a French or German or Canadian uniform? Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line on members of Congress wearing foreign military uniforms? That's why it has to be confronted. And the voters of this district need to rebuke Brian Mast. And then that message goes across America. Brian Mast wore an IDF uniform and he got defeated.
Yeah, we got a lot of traitors in the United States Congress right now that swear an allegiance to a foreign state rather than, an oath to our Constitution.
Right. So, the next issue would be the illegal immigration. Stu, I've been doing True News for 25 years. Next month is my 25th anniversary. A quarter of a century being a podcaster. When I started in 99, I was talking about illegal immigration. Nearly, 2.5 decades have gone by, and we're still talking about illegal immigration. Because the only thing the politicians do is talk and talk and talk.
It's all fake.
And what it is. What the voters need to realize is that both parties have absolutely determined that they're going to eliminate the border. See, we conservatives and patriots, we talk about we're going to close the border. Stu, there's no border to close.
Right.
They eliminated the border. And what they're resisting us about is our attempt to reimpose a border. In their mind, they got rid of the border years ago, and we didn't even know it. They want no borders. It's a borderless society movement. And so the politicians and the media, they talk about an immigration crisis, the border crisis. There's no crisis. It's a policy.
What about the people that actually control the members of Congress via blackmail and these powerful lobbies that occupy Washington?
Mm-hmm. Well, until you confront that very source of power, nothing's going to change. What was Jeffrey Epstein? He ran the world's biggest pedophile network. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire. I believe he was an actor. He was hired by the Israeli Mossad to play the role of a billionaire. He was given everything he needed. Somebody gave him mansions. Somebody gave him jets. He had everything he needed to look the role of a billionaire. This went on for decades. It didn't happen for just a year or two. Decades. Everybody in Washington knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, and they knew nothing was going to be done about it because they were afraid. They were either compromised by it or they were afraid to say anything about it.
Yeah, we have pedophiles in our government right now. Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, Joe Biden is a pedophile.
The purpose of the Jeffrey Epstein operation was blackmail. That's the purpose of it. The purpose of the pedophile operation with Jeffrey Epstein was to entrap powerful, influential American men, video record them having sex with little girls, and then control them the rest of their lives. And that's how this country's been taken down. And you're not going to restore this country until you take down that evil system.
And just because Jeffrey Epstein is gone does not mean that the Israeli Mossad is not still implementing the same plan using some other means.
Precisely, but they've got plenty of videotape that lasts them for years. They got plenty of video. There are congressmen, senators, governors, judges, generals that are still in office right now that are compromised. So Jeffrey Epstein lives on. They'll just bring in a new Epstein. his girlfriend wasn't his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was his handler. Well, who was she? Ghislaine Maxwell was the daughter of Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was a British billionaire, but his name was not Maxwell. It was Hoke. He was an Israeli spy, and he was given one of the highest, most glorious funerals of anybody in Israel. I think something like 4 former heads of Mossad attended his funeral because of the outstanding work that he did. He was pushed off his boat, the Lady Ghislaine. He was naked, drowned in the sea.
Well, it sounds like a funeral that was almost as big as George Floyd's funeral here.
Yes, and then who took his place? His daughter. She just stepped in and assumed the operation. Here's a woman who drives a submarine. How many people do you know who have a license to pilot a submarine and a jet and a lot of other things? She's like James Bond in a dress. She was running a spy operation in America. So this is what we're up against. Nothing will change until we confront this evil force in our government. And it's got its tentacles down deep in everything.
Everywhere. Every one of our bureaucracies, yes. Every one of our 3-letter agencies, every one of our unelected bureaucrats, 95% of the cabinet, 95% of the administration, all the way across Congress, all of the allegiances to Israel. You're going to take